We have been asked to change 300 centimeters into meters for 1 mark, okay? So, to go about doing this, what we need to do is we need to remember the conversion that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, okay? So if we want to change 300 centimeters, we need to first know what we did to this side and then apply it to this side. So what did we multiply the right hand side by to get, what did we multiply 100 by to get 300 on the right hand side? Well, to find this, it is 300 over 100, like that. These hundreds cancel, so we're left with 3 over 1, and this equals 3. Which means on this side we're going to multiply by 3 to get 3 meters. So we can write that as our answer here. Okay, so for this question it is worth 1 mark and you get 1 mark for the correct answer. We have been asked for this question to work out what 1/3 of 24 is for 1 mark. Okay, so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert the English we've been given into a mathematical format. So we have 1/3 like this. This off here means times, okay, and then 24 comes down to here. So in effect we're trying to find 1/3 times 24. Now remember, if we have two fractions which are a over b times c like that, this equals a times c over b. Let me just make that a bit neater. There we go. So what this will be is this will be 24 over 3, which equals 8. So we can write 8 as our final answer here. So this question is worth 1 mark and you get 1 mark for the correct final answer as such. We have been asked to write 40% as a fraction, okay, for 1 mark. So, to convert a number to a fraction, what we do is we take the number we're given and we write it over 100, okay, because this percentage means percent or per 100. So this, 40%, will be the same as saying 40 over 100, okay? Now, the question didn't ask us to simplify it in any way, so we can get away with just writing 40 over 100 in our answer space like this, okay? But if it did say to simplify to the simplest form, okay, you will have to add that extra step. So this question is worth 1 mark, and you get 1 mark for writing the answer 40 over 100, but you will also get the correct mark for writing an equivalent fraction. So if you simplified it to 2 over 5, say, you will get the mark as well. We have been asked to work out the value of 2.5 squared for 1 mark, okay? Now, with this type of question, because this is a calculator question, you could just put this into a calculator. But if we're going to do it without a calculator, if I'm going to do 2.5 times 2.5 using column multiplication, we have 5 times 5. For now, we're going to ignore the decimal places and we'll deal with them in a second. 5 times 5 is 25. 5, we will carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus the 2 is 12. And then we can write a 0 here. 2 times 5 is 10, 0 carry the 1, and 2 times 2 is 4, plus the 1 is 5. Okay, now we sum our columns. So 5 plus 0 is 5, 2 plus 0 is 2, and 1 plus 5 is 6. Now, because we have one number before the decimal place here, and one number after the decimal place here, and one number after the decimal place here, we will move this imaginary decimal place 2 spaces to make it 6.25. So the answer is 6.25. Okay. This question is worth 1 mark and you get 1 mark for the correct answer. You could have used your calculator, but in the instance of a non-calculator paper, this is how you would do the question. We have been asked to write the following numbers in order of size and to start with the smallest number for 1 mark. Okay, so the smallest number is the one which is the most negative. Okay, so it's not good enough just to say that minus 3 is smaller than minus 4 because technically 3 is smaller than 4, okay? It is most negative. So the most negative number here is minus 6. So we'll start with that. So it's minus 6, and we're going to just cross it out to show we've used it. Then there's no minus 5. We then have minus 4. We then have minus 3. We don't have minus 2. We don't have minus 1, but we do have a 0. So that's the next one. And then the next one is going to be 1. So from here, it's just normal number logic which applies. So the larger the positive number, the larger the number in general. And then we have a 2, which is here. And then we have a 7. like that. Okay, so this question is worth 1 mark, and that 1 mark comes from a correctly ordered set of numbers, as I have done here. We are told the graph shows some information about car production in the UK over 8 years. Okay, so here's our graph. We have car production on the y-axis in millions. Okay, so this is 1.2 million, 1.3 million, etc. And we have the year as the x-axis. The question part A has asked us, for how many of these years was car production more than 1.4 million for 1 mark? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to 1.4 million and I'm just going to draw a little line like this. Okay, and the reason I'm going to do this is it's going to make it easier for me to see when car production was higher than this. Okay, so this is year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7, year 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we can say that our answer for this part is 5. This part is worth 1 mark, and you get 1 mark for the correct answer of 5. Part B has asked, in which 2 years was car production the same for 1 mark? Okay, so what we need to do is we need to come to our graph and we need to take a look. Okay, now what it's asking is, for which 2 years is the y value the same? Okay, so if we look, we can see that this is between years 5 and 6, okay, because these are both at 1.5 million. So what we need to do is we need to say here that this is years 5, sorry, wrong pen, 5 and 6. So this part is worth 1 mark, and you get 1 mark for the correct final answer. We have been given a shape, and we have been asked what fraction of the shape is shaded, and we need to give our answer in the simplest form for 2 marks. Okay, so the fraction of the shape shaded is the number of shaded squares divided by the total number of squares. Okay, so here I'm just going to say that the number of shaded is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so this is going to be 12. And the total number of squares is 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 by 4, which is 16. Okay, so what we can do is we can plug each of these numbers into our equation here, and we can say that the fraction of shaded shape shaded equals, we said, was 12 over 16. But we've been asked for it in its simplest form. So what we need to do is we need to simplify this. We have a common factor of 4 between 12 and 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the numerator and denominator by 4. So 12 divided by 4, and I'm also just going to show it here. So we're going to do divide by 4 and divide by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 3 over 4 can't be simplified any further, so the final answer is going to be 3 over 4. So this question is worth 2 marks. The first mark comes from getting an unsimplified answer of 12 over 16, as we have done here. And the second mark comes from getting the correct fully simplified answer. Sorry, second mark, like that.
In this question, we're told that Karim buys 200 tiles. The tiles are sold in boxes. There are 25 tiles in each box, and we're told that the cost of each box of tiles is £9.75. And we need to work out the total cost of the boxes of tiles that Karim buys. Now let's start by finding the number of boxes that Karim buys. We're told that Karim buys 200 tiles. We know that there are 25 tiles in each box, and to find the number of boxes that Karim buys, we'll do 200 divided by 25, which will leave us with an answer of 8. And so we now know that Karim buys 8 boxes, and we need to find the total cost of the boxes. We know that 1 box of tiles costs £9.75. Karim needs 8 boxes of tiles, and so we can multiply both sides by 8. And so to find the cost of 8 boxes, we can do £9.75 multiplied by 8, which will leave us with an answer of £78. And so we can say that the total cost of the boxes of tiles that Karim buys is equal to £78. Now this question is worth 3 marks. We get the first mark for finding that the total number of boxes that Corinne buys is equal to 8. We get the second mark for multiplying £9.75 by 8 in order to find the total cost of the boxes of tiles that Corinne buys. And we get the third and final mark for the correct answer of £78, allowing us to get the full 3 marks needed in this question. In part A, we need to work out the value of 300 over 2 times 5. We have a denominator of 2 times 5, and we know that 2 multiplied by 5 is equal to 10. And so we can say that 300 over 2 times 5 is equivalent to 300 over 10. Now we can do 300 divided by 10, which is equal to 30. And so we can say that the value of 300 over 2 times 5 is equal to 30. Now in part B, we need to work out the value of 6 minus 2.5, all multiplied by 8 plus 4. Now let's start by simplifying. 6 minus 2.5 is equal to 3.5, and 8 plus 4 is equal to 12. And so we can say that this is equivalent to 3.5 multiplied by 12. Now we can put that into our calculator to get an answer of 42. And so we can say that 6 minus 2.5 multiplied by 8 plus 4 is equal to 42. Finally, in part C, we need to write down the reciprocal of 20. Now the reciprocal means 1 over. And so the reciprocal of 20 is quite literally 1 over 20. And we get the full 3 marks in this question, getting each part correct, allowing us to get the full marks needed in this question. In this question, we're given a graph which shows information about the time in minutes that a liquid has been cooling and the temperature of the liquid in degrees Celsius. And in part A, we need to work out the temperature of the liquid at time 2 minutes. We need to use our graph to be able to do this. We can start by drawing a vertical line upwards from the point at which the time is equal to 2 minutes. Now we need to use our graph in order to find the temperature at the point when time is equal to 2 minutes. And so we can draw a horizontal line across from our graph. And so using our graph, we found that the temperature of the liquid at the time when t is equal to 2 minutes is equal to 80 degrees Celsius. Now Pam recorded the time when the liquid had a temperature of 50 degrees Celsius, and we need to write down this time. We can apply the same principle to part B as we did in part A, except this time we already know the temperature instead of the time. And so using our graph, we can draw a horizontal line where the temperature is equal to 50 degrees Celsius. Now we can draw a vertical line downwards from the point at which our first line touches the graph. And so using our graph, we can see that when the temperature is equal to 50 degrees Celsius, the time is equal to 8 minutes. We're now told that Pam says that the temperature of the liquid drops more in the first 3 minutes of cooling than it does between the time 9 minutes and the time 12 minutes. In part C, we need to find out whether or not Pam is correct, giving a reason for our answer. Now part C is about the rate of cooling, and the rate of cooling is represented by the gradient of the graph. And so if the temperature of the liquid drops more in the first 3 minutes of cooling than it does between the time 9 minutes and the time 12 minutes, we can say that the rate of the change in temperature in the first 3 minutes would have to be greater than the rate of the change in temperature between 9 minutes and 12 minutes. And in graphical terms, this means that the gradient in the first 3 minutes would have to be greater than the gradient between 9 minutes and 12 minutes. So let's take another look at our graph. Now this is our graph in the first 3 minutes. And now this is our graph between 9 minutes and 12 minutes. And so we can see that the gradient in the first 3 minutes is much steeper than the gradient between 9 minutes and 12 minutes. And so we can see that the rate of the change in temperature is greater in the first 3 minutes than it is between 9 minutes and 12 minutes. And so we can therefore say that Pam is correct because the gradient is steeper in the first 3 minutes and less steep between 9 and 12 minutes. And so therefore the temperature of the liquid drops more in the first 3 minutes of cooling than it does between 9 minutes and 12 minutes. Now this question is worth 3 marks. We get the first mark for finding that the temperature of the liquid at time 2 minutes is equal to 80 degrees Celsius. And we get the second mark in part B for finding that the time is equal to 8 minutes when the liquid had a temperature of 50 degrees Celsius. And finally, we get the third mark in part C for saying that Pam is correct because the gradient is steeper in the first 3 minutes and less steep between 9 and 12 minutes, allowing us to get the full 3 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're told that PQRS is a quadrilateral and PST is a straight line. We need to find the value of y, and in order to do this, we're going to use the angle PSR, which we can label as x. And so we have the quadrilateral PQRS with angles 130 degrees, 65 degrees, 95 degrees, and x. And so we need to find the value of x in order to find the value of y. We know that angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360 degrees. And so we can say that 95 plus 130 plus 65 plus x is equal to 360 degrees. So we can rearrange and say that x is equal to 360, take away 65, take away 130, take away 95, which is equal to 70 degrees. And so we found that x is equal to 70 degrees, which we can label on our diagram. Well, now that we've found the value of angle x, which is equal to 70 degrees, we can use this in order to find the value of y. We're told that the line PST is a straight line, and we know that angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. And so using our diagram, we can say that x plus y is equal to 180 degrees. And so 70 plus y equals 180 degrees. Now taking 70 away from both sides, we can say that y is equal to 180 take away 70, which is equal to 110 degrees. And so we've found the correct and final answer that the value of y is equal to 110 degrees. Now this question is worth 3 marks. We get the first mark for using the fact that angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360 degrees in order to find that the value of x is equal to 70 degrees. We get the second mark for using the fact that angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees in order to say that 70 plus y is equal to 180 degrees. And we get the third and final mark for using this in order to find the value of y, and for saying that the value of y is equal to 180 take away 70, which is equal to 110 degrees, allowing us to get the full 3 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're given the first 5 terms of a number sequence: 45, 40, 35, 30, and 25. And in parts AI, we need to write down the next 2 terms of the sequence. Now let's start with the terms that we have. We need to find the term that comes after 25, and the term after that. Now let's see if we can find any pattern between each number. To get from 45 to 40, we take away 5. To get from 40 to 35, we take away 5. To get from 35 to 30, we take away 5. And to get from 30 to 25, we take away 5. And so we can see that to get to the next term in the sequence, we have to take away 5 from the term before it. Now to get the term after 25, we want to take away 5 again. And so 25 take away 5 would be equal to 20. And then to find the term after that, we take away 5 again. 20 take away 5 is equal to 15. And so we've therefore found that the next 2 terms of the sequence are 20 and 15. We're then told that a term of the sequence is minus 5. And in part AII, we need to find out which term this is. Now using the information given to us in the question and our answer to part AI, we know that the 5th, 6th and 7th terms of the sequence are 25, 20 and 15. Now we can take away 5 again to find the 8th term, which would be equal to 15 take away 5, which is equal to 10. We can take away 5 again to find the 9th term, which is equal to 5. And we can keep going until we find the term of the sequence, which is equal to minus 5. So now let's take away 5 again, and we can see that the 10th term in the sequence is equal to 0. Now let's take away 5 again, and we can see that the 11th term of the sequence is equal to 0 take away 5, which is equal to minus 5. And so we can therefore see that the 11th term of the sequence is equal to minus 5. Then we're told that the nth term of a different sequence is given by the expression 4n plus 3. And in part B, we need to find the ninth term of the sequence. Now to find the ninth term, we're finding the term when n is equal to 9. And so we need to find the value of 4n plus 3 when n is equal to 9. 4n plus 3 would be equal to 4 multiplied by 9 plus 3. 4 times 9 is 36, and so 4 multiplied by 9 plus 3 is equal to 36 plus 3, which is equal to 39. And so we've found that the ninth term of this sequence is equal to 39. And we get the 3 marks in this question for getting each part of the question correct, allowing us to get the full 3 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're given a diagram, and we need to work out the perimeter of this shape. Now to find the perimeter, we need to find the total length of all of the sides. But you can see that in our diagram, we have 2 missing sides, one labelled in purple and one labelled in blue. Now let's find the length of these 2 sides in order to find the perimeter of the shape. We can see that the total horizontal length is equal to 10 centimeters. We know that the length of 4 centimeters plus this purple length must be equal to the total horizontal length of 10 centimeters. And so we can say that this purple length is equal to 10 centimeters, take away 4 centimeters, which is equal to 6 centimeters. Now we want to find the blue length. We can see that the total vertical length is equal to 7 centimeters. We have a vertical length on the other side of 5 centimeters, and we can say that this 5 centimeter length plus the blue length must be equal to the total vertical length of 7 centimeters. And so we can say that this blue length is equal to 7 centimeters, take away 5 centimeters, which is equal to 2 centimeters. Now that we've found the 2 missing sides, we can find the perimeter of the shape by adding together the lengths of each side. And so we can say that the perimeter of the shape is equal to 7 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 2 plus 10, which is equal to a total length of 34 centimeters. And so we've now correctly found that the perimeter of the shape is equal to 34 centimeters. Now this question is worth 2 marks. We get the first mark for finding the length of the 2 missing sides. And we get the second mark for using these values in order to find that the perimeter of the shape is equal to 34 centimeters, allowing us to get the full 2 marks needed in this question. In part A, we need to simplify the expression 3x plus 5y plus 2x minus 4y. Let's write this expression again, but this time by collecting like terms. 3x and 2x are both terms of x, and 5y and minus 4y are both terms of y. We can use this in order to simplify our expression. 3x plus 2x is equal to 5x, and 5y minus 4y is equal to 1y. And so we can simplify our original expression by saying that it's equivalent to 5x plus 1y, which can be written as 5x plus y. Now in part B, we need to solve 5p plus 7 is equal to 22. We can start by taking 7 away from both sides. 5p take away 7 is equal to 5p, and 22 take away 7 is equal to 15. Now to solve the equation, we want to find the value of p, and we can do this by dividing both sides by 5. 5p divided by 5 is equal to p, and 15 divided by 5 is equal to 3. And so we can say that p is equal to 3. Now this question is worth 4 marks. We get the first mark in part A for collecting the like terms, and we get the second mark in part A for the correct answer of 5x plus y. We get the third mark in part B for taking 7 away from both sides and then dividing both sides by 5. And we get the fourth mark in part B for finding that p is equal to 3, allowing us to get the full 4 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're given the costs of the same type of batteries in 2 shops. In shop A, you can buy a pack of 4 batteries for £1.60, and in shop B, you can buy a pack of 6 batteries for £2.70. Now Harry needs to buy at least 30 batteries. he assumes that he has to buy batteries in whole packs. Harry wants to buy the batteries as cheaply as possible and all from the same shop. In part A, we need to find out which shop he should buy the batteries from, shop A or shop B, showing all of our working. Now we can use a table to help us to answer this question. So let's start with shop A. We know that Harry needs to buy at least 30 batteries, and he assumes that he has to buy the batteries in whole packs. We can start by finding the number of packs that Harry would need to buy if he buys the batteries from shop A. Now let's say that Harry buys 7 packs of batteries. If each pack has 4 batteries and Harry buys 7 packs, he would have 4 times 7, which is equal to 28 batteries in total. We know that Harry needs to buy at least 30 batteries, and so we can say that 7 packs is not enough. Well, let's see what happens if he buys 8 packs of batteries. If Harry buys 8 packs of batteries, and each pack contains 4 batteries, he'll have a total of 4 times 8, which is equal to 32 batteries. Now, given that Harry needs to buy at least 30 batteries, 32 is enough. We know that 7 packs of batteries from shop A will not be enough, and so we can say that the minimum number of packs that Harry can buy from shop A in order to have at least 30 batteries is equal to 8. Well, now that we've found out how many packs that Harry would need from shop A, we can find out how much he would pay. We know that 1 pack of batteries from shop A is £1.60, and to find the price of 8 packs, we'll multiply both sides by 8. £1.60 multiplied by 8 is equal to £12.80, and so we can say that 8 packs would cost him £12.80. Now let's compare this to shop B. Now in shop B, you can buy a pack of 6 batteries. So let's find out the amount of packs that he would need to buy. Let's say that Harry buys 5 packs of batteries from shop B. Given that each pack of batteries contains 6 batteries, 5 packs would have 6 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 30 batteries. Now Harry needs at least 30 batteries, and so 5 packs would be the perfect amount. Now let's work out how much this would cost. We know that from shop B, 1 pack of batteries is equal to £2.70. And to find the price of 5 packs, we'll multiply both sides by 5. £2.70 multiplied by 5 is equal to £13.50. And so we can say that the price of 5 packs from shop B is equal to £13.50. Now we know that Harry wants to buy the batteries as cheaply as possible and all from the same shop. Now shop A would cost him £12.80 and shop B would cost him £13.50. £12.80 is cheaper than £13.50, and so we can say that Harry should buy the batteries from shop A. Now in part B, we're told that Harry's assumption is wrong. He can in fact buy single batteries for 40p each in shop A and 45p each in shop B. We need to find out if this affects which of these 2 shops that Harry should buy the batteries from, and we can do a quick calculation to help us with this. Let's say that Harry buys 30 batteries from shop A. If each battery is 40 pence, we can say that the total cost of 30 batteries from shop A would be 40 pence multiplied by 30, which is equal to £12. We can do the same thing for shop B. If each battery is 45p in shop B, we can say that 30 batteries from shop B would be 45 pence multiplied by 30, which is equal to £13.50. £12 is cheaper than £13.50, and so we can see that shop A is still cheaper. This matches with our answer to part A, because in part A, we said that he should buy the batteries from shop A, and so given that shop A is still cheaper than shop B, we can say that there is no effect to our original answer. Now this question is worth 5 marks. We get the first mark in part A, for finding that Harry would need to buy 8 packs from shop A and 5 packs from shop B. We get the second mark for finding that if Harry was to buy the batteries from shop A, it would cost him £12.80. We get the third mark for finding that if Harry was to buy the batteries from shop B, it would cost him £13.50. And we get the fourth mark for saying that £12.80 is cheaper than £13.50, and so Harry should buy the batteries from shop A. We then get the fifth mark in part B for saying that shop A is still cheaper than shop B, and so there is no effect to our original answer, allowing us to get the full 5 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're told that there are only 5 blue cards, 2 green cards, and 4 red cards in a pack. Isabella is going to take at random 1 card from the pack. And in part A, we need to write down the probability that Isabella will take a blue card. Let's start by finding the total number of cards. Now, given that there are only 5 blue cards, 2 green cards, and 4 red cards in a pack, we can say that the total number of cards in general is equal to 5 plus 2 plus 4, which is equal to 11. We need to find the probability that Isabella will take a blue card. We know that there are 5 blue cards in the pack. So given that there are 5 blue cards, and we have a total of 11 cards, we can say that the probability that Isabella will take a blue card is equal to 5 out of 11. Now we're told that Ken is going to throw a biased dice once. The probability that the dice will land on 6 is 0.3, and in part B, we need to find the probability that the dice will not land on 6. Well, we know that the probability that the dice will land on 6 is equal to 0.3. Now the sum of probabilities is always equal to 1, and so if the probability that the dice will land on 6 is equal to 0.3, the probability that the dice will not land on 6 would be equal to 1 take away 0.3, which is equal to 0.7. And so we can see that the probability that the dice will not land on 6 is equal to 0.7. Now this question is worth 3 marks. We get the first mark in part A for finding the total number of cards, which is equal to 11. We get the second mark for finding that the probability that Isabella will take a blue card is equal to 5 out of 11. And we get the third mark in part B for finding that the probability that the dice will not land on 6 is equal to 0.7. Allowing us to achieve the full 3 marks needed in this question. In this question, we need to accurately draw an isosceles triangle with side lengths 8 cm, 6 cm, and 6 cm. One side of the triangle has already been drawn, and we can see that we have a base of 8 cm. Now to draw this triangle, we're going to need a ruler and a compass, and so we can use a different whiteboard to help us do this. Now we have our base of 8 cm. We need to use our ruler and compass. The first thing that we need to do is to expand our compass so that the compass has a length of 6 cm. We'll start by placing the needle at 0 cm on the ruler, and we'll expand our compass until the pencil reaches the 6 cm mark on our ruler. Now we've set our compass to a length of 6 cm, which we can now lock in place. And we can use this compass in order to draw the triangle. We'll start by placing the needle of our compass on one end of the base of 8 cm. Now we're going to use our compass in order to draw an arc. And we can do the same thing on the other side of our base. Now we can put the compass away, and we can see that these two arcs intersect. Now to accurately draw this triangle, we need to join each end of the base to the point at which the two arcs intersect. We'll start on the left hand side, and we can do the same thing on the right hand side. And so you can see that we now have a triangle with a base of 8 cm and two side lengths of 6 cm each, which we can label on our diagram. Now it's really important that we keep our construction lines, which are the two arcs that we drew with the compass. This showed the examiner that we used a compass in order to accurately draw the triangle, which is exactly what we need to get the marks. Now let's go back to the actual exam paper. Now we've copied this diagram correctly into our exam paper, and we get the full 2 marks for an accurate isosceles triangle, which we drew using a compass, making sure that both the side lengths are 6 cm each, allowing us to get the full 2 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're given a graph which can be used to change between US dollars and British pounds. Rosie bought a ring in the USA, and she paid $345 US. We need to work out in pounds the amount that Rosie paid for the ring. Using our graph, we can see that we have British pounds on the x-axis and US dollars on the y-axis. And so let's say that British pounds is equal to x and US dollars is equal to y. Now to begin to answer this question, we can find the equation of the line. Now to find the equation of the line, we need 2 pieces of information. We need the gradient of the line and we need the y-intercept of the line. Let's start by finding the gradients. We know that the gradient, m, is equal to the change in y divided by the change in x. And we can draw a gradient triangle in order to help us find this. Now we've drawn in our gradient triangle, and we can see that the y-coordinate at this point is 64, and the y-coordinate at this point is 12, and the x-coordinate at this point is 49, and the x-coordinate at this point is 9. Now to find the gradient, we want to find the change in y divided by the change in x. The change in y is equal to 64 take away 12, and the change in x is equal to 49 take away 9. And so we can say that the change in y divided by the change in x is equal to 64 take away 12 divided by 49 take away 9. Now putting these values into our calculator, we'll find that the gradient of the line is equal to 1.3. The next piece of information that we need in order to find the equation of the line is the y-intercept of the line. The y-intercept is the point at which the line touches the y-axis. Now on our graph, we can see that our line crosses the y-axis at the origin, which has the coordinates 0, 0. And so we can say that the y-intercept c is equal to 0. Now we know that the equation of a straight line is in the format y equals mx plus c. We said that the gradient m is equal to 1.3, and the y-intercept c is equal to 0. And so y equals 1.3x plus 0. We can ignore the plus 0 and say that y is equal to 1.3x. Now we're told that Rosie paid $345 US, and we need to find the value of $345 US in British pounds. We said that US dollars is equal to y, and so we know that y is equal to 345. And so we need to find the value of x when y is equal to 345. We said that y is equal to 1.3x. Given that we know that y is equal to 345, we can say that 345 is equal to 1.3x. To find x, we can divide both sides by 1.3. Dividing the right hand side by 1.3 will leave us with x, and dividing 345 by 1.3 will leave us with 265.384 ... And so we found that when y is equal to 345, x is equal to 265.384. We know that x is equal to the amount of money in British pounds, and so rounding our answer of x to the nearest pound, we can say that Rosie paid approximately £265 for the ring. And so we've now found the correct final answer, that Rosie paid approximately £265 for the ring that she bought in the USA. Now this question is worth 3 marks. We get the first mark for using our graph in order to find the equation of the line. We get the second mark for setting up an equation where y is equal to 345 in order to find the value of x. And we get the third mark for getting the correct final answer, that the amount of money that Rosie paid for the ring is approximately equal to £265. And so we've now achieved the full 3 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're given the types of sandwiches sold in a cafe last week. We're told that 56 tuna sandwiches were sold, and this was 40% of the total number of sandwiches sold. In part A, we need to work out the total number of sandwiches sold. Now the total number of sandwiches refers to all of the sandwiches that were sold, and all of the sandwiches are equal to 100% of the sandwiches sold. We know that 40% of the total number of sandwiches sold is equal to 56, and we need to find 100% in order to find out the total number of sandwiches sold. Now to get from 40% to 100%, we can't multiply directly by a whole number. So what we can do is start by finding 10%, which we can do by dividing both sides by 4. 40% divided by 4 is equal to 10%, and 56 divided by 4 is equal to 14. And so we found that 10% of the number of sandwiches sold is equal to 14. Now we said that we want to find 100% in order to find the total number of sandwiches sold. Now to get from 10% to 100%, we can multiply by 10, so we need to multiply both sides by 10. 10% multiplied by 10 is equal to 100%, and 14 multiplied by 10 is equal to 140. And so we've found that 100% is equal to 140, and we can therefore say that the total number of sandwiches sold is equal to 140. We're then told that of the 56 tuna sandwiches sold, 18 were sold on a Friday, and in part B, we need to write 18 as a percentage of 56, giving our answer correct to the nearest whole number. Well, we're talking about 18 out of a total of 56, and so we therefore have a fraction of 18 over 56. But now to write this as a percentage, we need to multiply this fraction by 100. And so we can say that the percentage is equal to 18 over 56, all multiplied by 100, which we can type into our calculator. And you'll see that this is equal to 32.14285 ... But we need to give our answer correct to the nearest whole number. 32.14285 correct to the nearest whole number is equal to 32. And so we can say that 18 as a percentage of 56 is approximately equal to 32%, correct to the nearest whole number. Now this question is worth 4 marks. We get the first mark in part A for finding that 10% is equal to 14. And we get the second mark in part A for therefore finding that 100% is equal to 140. Now in part B, we get the third mark for a process to find the percentage by doing 18 over 56 multiplied by 100. And we get the fourth and final mark for correctly rounding this to 32%, allowing us to achieve the full 4 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're told that actor, Ben and Carl each have some money. Actor has £65, Ben has £100, and Carl has 3 £5 notes, 1 £20 note, and some £10 notes. The mean amount of money per person is £80, and we need to use this information to work out how many £10 notes that Carl has. Now let's say that the amount of money that Carl has is equal to C. We're told that the mean amount of money per person is £80, and let's use this information in order to form an equation. Now to find the mean of a set of data, we find the sum of the values by adding them all up, and divide the sum by the number of values in the set. Now we have 3 values in our data set. We have the amount of money that actor has, the amount of money that Ben has, and the amount of money that Carl has. And to find the mean, we add these 3 values up and divide it by 3. We know that actor has £65, Ben has £100, and the amount of money that Carl has is C. And so to find this mean, we'll do 65 plus 100 plus C divided by 3. Now we know that the mean amount of money per person is £80, and so we can say that 65 plus 100 plus C, all divided by 3, is equal to 80. And so we've now formed an expression that we can use in order to rearrange to find C. Let's start by multiplying both sides by 3. 65 plus 100 plus C, all divided by 3, multiplied by 3, will leave us with 65 plus 100 plus C. And 80 multiplied by 3 is equal to 240. And so we can say that 65 plus 100 plus C is equal to 240. We can move the 65 and the 100 over to the right hand side, and we can say that C is equal to 240 take away 100 take away 65, which will leave us with £75. And so we've found that C is equal to £75, and so the amount of money that Carl has is equal to £75. We're told that Carl has 3 £5 notes, 1 £20 note, and some £10 notes. We now know that he has a total of £75, and we need to use this in order to find out how many £10 notes that Carl has. But now let's take a look at the money we already know he has. 3 £5 notes would be equal to 3 multiplied by £5, which is £15 in total. And 1 £20 note would be equal to 1 multiplied by £20, which is equal to £20 in total. Now £15 plus £20 is equal to £35. And so with the 3 £5 notes and 1 £20 note, Carl has £35. But we know that the total amount of money that Carl has is £75. And so taking away the 3 £5 notes and 1 £20 note, we can do £75 take away £35, which is equal to £40. Now we know that this must all be in the form of £10 notes. And so we need to use this fact in order to find out how many £10 notes that Carl has. £40 is equivalent to 4 £10 notes, because 40 divided by 10 is equal to 4. And so we've therefore found that Carl has 4 £10 notes in total. Now this question is worth 4 marks. We get the first mark for using the mean in order to find that 65 plus 100 plus C, all divided by 3, is equal to 80. We get the second mark for rearranging to find that C is equal to £75. We get the third mark for doing £75 take away £35 in order to find that Carl has £40 worth of £10 notes. And we get the fourth and final mark for using this in order to find that Carl has 4 £10 notes in total, allowing us to achieve the full 4 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're told that Malik is going to throw a fair coin 50 times, and in part A, we need to write down an estimate for the number of times a coin will land on heads. Now a coin has 2 sides, heads and tails. Now if the coin is fair, just like Malik's coin, we know that it's equally likely for the coin to land on heads or the coin to land on tails. And so the probability that the coin will land on tails would be 1/2, and the probability that the coin will land on heads will also be 1/2. And so we've written here that probability of the coin landing on heads is equal to 1/2. Now if Malik throws this fair coin 50 times, we can find the estimate for the number of times that the coin will land on heads by doing 1/2 multiplied by 50, which will give us an answer of 25. And so we've found that an estimate for the number of times that the coin will land on heads is equal to 25. Next we're told that Paula and Simon are trying to find out if a different coin is biased. Paula throws the coin 10 times, and she records the number of times that the coin lands on heads. Now Simon throws the same coin 100 times, and he records the number of times that the coin lands on heads. In part B, we need to find out whose results will be more useful in deciding if the coin is biased, giving a reason for our answer. Now Paula only throws the coin 10 times, whereas Simon throws the same coin 100 times, and so Simon will have a lot more data than Paula. Now the more data that Simon has, the more accurate the results will be in deciding if the coin is biased. And so we can say that Simon's results will be the most useful in deciding if the coin is biased because 100 is greater than 10, and so he will therefore have a lot more results. Now this question is worth 2 marks. We get the first mark in part A for correctly finding that an estimate for the number of times that the coin will land on heads is equal to 25. And we get the second mark in part B for saying that Simon's results will be more useful in deciding if the coin is biased because he throws the same coin 100 times, whereas Paula only throws the coin 10 times, and 100 is greater than 10, allowing us to get the full 2 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're given a solid made from a square-based pyramid and a cube. Each edge of the solid has length 6 centimeters, and on the centimeter grid, we need to draw the plan of the solid. Now a plan of the solid would be the view from the very top, as shown by this purple arrow. And so if you take a look at the solid from the very top, just as the arrow shows, you'll see that we have a square of side length 6 centimeters. But not only do we have a square, we also have these lines, which point towards the centre of the square. Let's start by drawing a square with side length 6 centimeters. So we've drawn our square on the centimetre grid, and each side has a length of 6 centimeters. Now let's draw in this point over here, and this point lies in the centre of our square. We've marked the centre with a small black dot. And now looking at the original solid from the top, just as the arrow shows, let's draw these lines, which all point to the centre from each edge. We have the first line from the top edge to the centre, and we can do the same for each edge. And we've now successfully drawn a plan of this solid by looking at the shape from the very top. Now this question is worth 2 marks. We get the full 2 marks for a completely correct diagram, as shown on the screen, allowing us to achieve the full marks needed in this question. In part A, we need to simplify n to the power of 3 multiplied by n to the power of 5. We can use one of our index laws to help us solve this. We know that x to the power of a multiplied by x to the power of b is equal to x to the power of a plus b. We can therefore apply the same rule into our question. We know that n to the power of 3 multiplied by n to the power of 5 will therefore be equal to n to the power of 3 plus 5. 3 plus 5 is equal to 8, and so we can simplify this further by saying n to the power of 3 plus 5 is equal to n to the power of 8. And so we can say that n to the power of 3 multiplied by n to the power of 5 is equal to n to the power of 8. In part B, we need to simplify c to the power of 3 d to the power of 4, all divided by c to the power of 2 d. Now we can use another index law to help us to answer this question. We know that x to the power of a divided by x to the power of b is equal to x to the power of a minus b. But before we apply this index law, let's write our fraction in a different way. We can say that c to the power of 3 d to the power of 4 divided by c squared d is equal to c to the power of 3 divided by c squared, all multiplied by d to the power of 4 divided by d. Now let's apply the index law. C to the power of 3 divided by c to the power of 2 would be equal to c to the power of 3 minus 2. Now d can be written as d to the power of 1, and so d to the power of 4 divided by d to the power of 1 would be equal to d to the power of 4 minus 1. Now simplifying this further, 3 minus 2 is equal to 1, and so c to the power of 3 minus 2 is equal to c to the power of 1. And then 4 minus 1 is equal to 3, and so d to the power of 4 minus 1 is equivalent to d to the power of 3. Now c to the power of 1 is just equal to c, and so we can say that c to the power of 1 multiplied by d cubed is equal to cd cubed. Finally, in part C, we need to solve 5x over 2 is greater than 7. We need to solve for x, and we can start by multiplying both sides by 2. 5x over 2 multiplied by 2 would be equal to 5x, and 7 multiplied by 2 would be equal to 14, leaving us with 5x is greater than 14. Now to solve for x, let's divide both sides by 5. 5x divided by 5 is equal to x, and 14 divided by 5 is equal to 14 over 5, leaving us with a final answer that x is greater than 14 over 5. Now this question is worth 5 marks. We get the first mark in part A for getting the correct answer of n to the power of 8. We get the second mark in part B for splitting up our fraction in order to begin to simplify this. We get the third mark for getting the correct answer of cd cubed in part B. We get the fourth mark in part C for multiplying both sides by 2 and for saying that 5x is greater than 14. And we get the fifth mark for dividing both sides by 5 and for getting the final answer in part C that x is greater than 14 over 5, allowing us to get the full 5 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're told that Andy cycles a distance of 30 kilometers at an average speed of 24 kilometers per hour. He then runs a distance of 12 kilometers at an average speed of 8 kilometers per hour. We need to work out the total time that Andy takes, giving our answer in hours and minutes. Well, a formula that we need to know in order to answer this question is the fact that speed is equal to distance divided by time. We're interested in finding the time, and so we can rearrange this formula in order to say that time is equal to distance divided by speed. Now Andy's journey is in 2 parts. He cycles one part, and then he runs the second part, and so we need to work out the time separately for each part. We'll start by finding the time that Andy takes when cycling. Now when Andy is cycling, he travels a distance of 30 kilometers at a speed of 24 kilometers per hour. We said that time is equal to distance divided by speed, and so the time that Andy takes while cycling would be 30 divided by 24. Now putting this into our calculator, we'll see that this time is equal to 1.25 hours. Now let's work out the time when Andy is running, and we can call this time 2. When Andy is running, he travels a distance of 12 kilometers, and at an average speed of 8 kilometers per hour. And so the time that Andy takes when running would be the distance divided by the speed, which is equal to 12 divided by 8. Using our calculator, we can see that this is equal to 1.5 hours. And so the total time that Andy takes would be time 1 plus time 2, which is the time that he takes when cycling plus the time that he takes when running. And so the total time that Andy takes is equal to 1.25 hours plus 1.5 hours, which is equal to 2.75 hours. But this isn't our final answer, because we need to give our answer in hours and minutes. We can write 2.7 hours in a slightly different way. We can say that 2.75 hours is equivalent to 2 hours and 0.75 hours, because 2 plus 0.75 is equal to 2.75. And so we know that Andy takes 2 hours and then 0.75 hours. But now to give our answer in hours and minutes, we need to convert 0.75 hours into minutes. We know that in 1 hour there are 60 minutes, but we need to find out how many minutes are in 0.75 hours, and so we can multiply both sides by 0.75. 1 hour multiplied by 0.75 is equal to 0.75 hours, and so 60 multiplied by 0.75 is equal to 45. And so we've found that 0.75 hours is equivalent to 45 minutes. We need to find out the total time that Andy takes in hours and minutes. We found that he takes 2.75 hours in total, but now we can say that 2.75 hours is equivalent to 2 hours and 45 minutes. And so we've found that the total time Andy takes is equal to 2 hours and 45 minutes. Now this question is worth 3 marks. We get the first mark for finding that Andy takes 1.25 hours when cycling and 1.5 hours when running. We get the second mark for adding these values together and for finding that the total time that Andy takes is equal to 2.75 hours. And we get the third mark for correctly converting this into hours and minutes and for saying that the total time that Andy takes is equal to 2 hours and 45 minutes. Allowing us to achieve the full 3 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're told that a number m is rounded to 1 decimal place. The result is 9.4, and we need to complete the error interval for m. Let's use the number line to help us with this question. Now m can be any number which rounds to 9.4 to 1 decimal place. We have 9.3, 9.4, and 9.5 on our number line. Now let's imagine that we have the number 9.31. This would round to 9.3 to 1 decimal place, so 9.31 is too small to be m. Now let's imagine 9.47. M cannot be equal to 9.47 because 9.47 would round to 9.5. And so we need to find the exact interval that would round to 9.4 to 1 decimal place. We know that anything between 9.35 and 9.4, including 9.35, will round to 9.4 to 1 decimal place. We also know that anything between 9.4 and 9.45, not including 9.45, will round to 9.4 to 1 decimal place. And so we can see that our error interval for m would be between 9.35 and 9.45, including 9.35, but not including 9.45, which we've written as our final answer. Now we get the 2 marks in this question for correctly writing 9.35 in the right place and 9.45 in the right place, allowing us to get the full 2 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're told that Maisie knows that she needs 3 kilograms of grass seed to make a rectangular lawn 5 meters by 9 meters. We're told that grass seed is sold in 2 kilogram boxes. Maisie wants to make a rectangular lawn 10 meters by 14 meters, and she has 5 boxes of grass seed. In part A, we need to find out if Maisie has enough grass seed to make a lawn 10 meters by 14 meters. Now let's imagine a rectangular lawn 5 meters by 9 meters. We can see that this lawn covers an area of 45 meters squared, because 5 multiplied by 9 is 45. Now we know that for a lawn this size, she needs 3 kilograms of grass seed. And we need to find out how many kilograms of grass seed that she'll need in order to make her rectangular lawn of 10 meters by 14 meters. So here we have our 10 meter by 14 meter lawn, and we can see that this lawn covers an area of 140 meters squared, because 10 multiplied by 14 is equal to 140. But we need to work out how many kilograms of grass seed that Maisie will need in order to make a rectangular lawn 10 meters by 14 meters. Now we know that Maisie needs 3 kilograms of grass seed in order to cover an area of 45 meters squared, and we need to find out how many kilograms that she'll need in order to cover an area of 140 meters squared. And so we can multiply both sides by 140 over 45. 3 multiplied by 140 over 45 is equal to 9.3 kilograms to 1 decimal place. And so we can see that to cover an area of 140 meters squared, Maisie requires 9.3 kilograms of grass seed. We need to find out if Maisie has enough grass seed to cover this area. Now we're not told how many kilograms of grass seed that Maisie has, but we are told that she has 5 boxes of grass seed. And so let's work out how many kilograms of grass seed there are in 5 boxes. We're told that grass seed is sold in 2 kilogram boxes, and so we know that one box contains 2 kilograms of grass seed. Now to find out how many kilograms of grass seed is in 5 boxes, we can multiply both sides by 5. 1 multiplied by 5 is equal to 5, and 2 multiplied by 5 is equal to 10. And so we can say that in 5 boxes there are 10 kilograms of grass seed. And so we've now found out that Maisie has 10 kilograms of grass seed. Now we know that in order to make a rectangular lawn 10 meters by 14 meters, she needs 9.3 kilograms. And so we can say that Maisie already has 10 kilograms of grass seed, and she only needs 9.3 kilograms. Since 10 kilograms is greater than 9.3 kilograms, Maisie has enough grass seed in order to make a lawn 10 meters by 14 meters. Now we're told that Maisie opens the 5 boxes of grass seed, and she finds out that 4 of the boxes contain 2 kilograms of grass seed, and the other box contains 1 kilogram of grass seed. And in part B, we need to find out if this affects whether or not Maisie has enough grass seed to make her lawn. Now if 4 of the boxes contain 2 kilograms of grass seed, 4 multiplied by 2 is 8, and so that means she has 8 kilograms of grass seed in those 4 boxes. And now the other box contains 1 kilogram of grass seed, and so in total she has 8 plus 1, which is equal to 9 kilograms of grass seed. Now in part A, we assumed that she had 10 kilograms of grass seed, but now it turns out that she actually only has 9 kilograms. We know that in order to make her lawn 10 meters by 14 meters, she needs 9.3 kilograms of grass seed. We just found out that Maisie only has 9 kilograms, and so we can now say that Maisie does not have enough grass seed to make her lawn. Now this question is worth 5 marks. We get the first mark for finding that Maisie's lawn covers an area of 140 meters squared. We get the second mark for finding out that Maisie needs 9.3 kilograms of grass seed in order to make her lawn. We get the third mark for writing down that Maisie already has 10 kilograms of grass seed. And we get the fourth mark in part A for concluding that Maisie has 10 kilograms of grass seed, but only needs 9.3 kilograms, and so Maisie has enough grass seed to make her lawn. And in part B, we get the fifth mark for realising that Maisie only has 9 kilograms of grass seed, but she needs 9.3 kilograms, and so she no longer has enough grass seed to make her lawn, allowing us to achieve the full 5 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're told that Amanda has 2 fair 3-sided spinners, and the keyword here is fair. If the spinners are fair, it means that it's equally likely to land on 1, 2, or 3. And since there are 3 possibilities for the spinner to land on, 1, 2, or 3, we can say that the probability of landing on either of these numbers would be equal to 1/3. Now we're told that Amanda spins each spinner once, and in part A, we need to complete the probability tree diagram. Now let's start with spinner A. We need to find the probability that spinner A will land on 2. Now we said that it's equally likely that the spinner will land on 1, 2, or 3, and so the probability that the spinner will land on 2 would be equal to 1/3. Now a really important fact in probability is that the sum of the probabilities of all possible outcomes is equal to 1. And so if we know that the probability that the spinner will land on 2 is equal to 1/3, the probability that the spinner does not land on 2 would be equal to 1 take away 1/3, which is equal to 2/3. And since spinner A and spinner B are both the same, with spinner B the probability of landing on 2 is 1/3, and the probability of not landing on 2 is 2/3. Now in part B, we need to work out the probability that spinner A lands on 2 and spinner B does not land on 2. Now the word "and" is very important. Now a general rule in probability is that "and" means that we multiply the probabilities together. And so to find the probability that spinner A lands on 2 and spinner B does not land on 2, we'd have to do the probability that spinner A will land on 2 multiplied by the probability that spinner B will not land on 2. Now we said that the probability that spinner A will land on 2 is equal to 1/3. And now let's follow our tree diagram. Given that spinner A lands on 2, let's follow our diagram to look at this branch. we can see that the probability that spinner B does not land on 2 is equal to 2/3. And now to find the probability that spinner A lands on 2 and spinner B does not land on 2, we would do 1/3 multiplied by 2/3, which is equal to 2/9. And so we've found that the probability that spinner A lands on 2 and spinner B does not land on 2 is equal to 2/9. Now this question is worth 4 marks. We get the first 2 marks in part A for a fully correct tree diagram. We get the third mark in part B for doing 1/3 multiplied by 2/3. And we get the fourth mark in part B for our final answer that the probability that spinner A lands on 2 and spinner B does not land on 2 is equal to 2/9, allowing us to get the full 4 marks needed in this question. In part A, we need to use these graphs to solve the simultaneous equations 5x minus 9y is equal to minus 46 and y is equal to minus 2x. Now let's take a look at the 2 lines on our graph. We have the line with equation 5x minus 9y is equal to minus 46, and we have the line with equation y equals minus 2x. Now in order to solve these simultaneous equations graphically, we need to use the point of intersection, because the solution of these two simultaneous equations is the point at which the 2 lines intersect. And so we need to find the coordinates of this point over here. Now we can see that the x-coordinate of this point of intersection is equal to minus 2, and we can see that the y-coordinate of this point of intersection is equal to 4. And so the point at which these 2 lines intersect has the coordinates minus 2, 4, and so we've used our graph to solve the simultaneous equations to find that x is equal to minus 2 and y is equal to 4. Now in part B, we need to use the graph above to find estimates for the solutions of the quadratic equation x squared minus 4x plus 2 is equal to 0. And you can see on our graph that we have the curve y equals x squared minus 4x plus 2. Now to find the solutions for this equation, we need to find the points at which the curve touches the x-axis. And so we're looking for the coordinates of this point and this point. We can see that the x-coordinates at this point is equal to 0.6, and we can see that the x-coordinates at this point is equal to 3.4. And so we can write these two solutions in the form of coordinates. And we found that the estimates for the solutions of the quadratic equation is 0.60 and 3.40, because the curve touches the x-axis when x is equal to 0.6 and when x is equal to 3.4. Now this question is worth 3 marks. We get the first mark in part A for the correct solution to the simultaneous equations that x is equal to minus 2 and y is equal to 4. We get the second mark in part B for the solution 0.60, and we get the third mark in part B for the solution 3.40, allowing us to get the full 3 marks needed in this question. In this question, we're given a diagram which shows a solid triangular prism. Now the prism is made from wood with a density of 0.8 grams per centimetre cubed, and we need to work out the mass of this prism. Now the first thing that we need to know is the formula to find the density. And we know that the density is equal to the mass divided by the volume. We're interested in working out the mass of the prism, so in order to work out the mass, we need to know the density and the volume of the prism, so that we can substitute these values in to our equation above. Now we're already told that the density is equal to 0.8 grams per centimetre cubed, but we can't work out the mass unless we know the density and the volume. But now looking at our diagram, we have the dimensions of the prism, which will allow us to work out the volume. And so in order to work out the volume of the prism, we would find the cross-sectional area and then multiply this area by the length. And now this diagram might help. We can see that the triangle is our cross-sectional area, and we have a length of 10 centimetres. And we need to work out this cross-sectional area. The cross-sectional area would be equal to the area of the triangle. To find the area of a triangle, we do the base multiplied by the height and then divide by 2. And so our cross-sectional area can be found by doing the base of the triangle multiplied by the height of the triangle, all divided by 2. Now the triangle has a base of 4 centimetres and a height of 6 centimetres, and so the area would be equal to 4 multiplied by 6, all divided by 2, which is equal to 12 centimeters squared. Now we said that the volume of the prism would be equal to the cross-sectional area multiplied by the length. And so the volume would be equal to 12 centimeters squared multiplied by 10 centimeters, which is equal to 120 centimeters cubed. Now we know the volume of the prism, and we already know the density of the prism, and so we can use this in order to work out the mass. We know that density is equal to mass over volume, and so substituting in what we already know, we can say that 0.8 is equal to the mass divided by 120. And now to find the mass, we'll multiply both sides by 120, and we'll say that the mass is equal to 0.8 multiplied by 120, which is equal to 96 grams. And so we've correctly worked out that the mass of this prism is equal to 96 grams. Now this question is worth 3 marks. We get the first mark for finding that the volume of the prism is equal to 120 centimeters cubed. We get the second mark for substituting our values into our formula and for saying that 0.8 is equal to mass divided by 120. And we get the third and final mark for saying that the mass is equal to 0.8 multiplied by 120, which is equal to 96 grams, allowing us to get the full 3 marks needed in this question.